I've been rapping for 5 years, and this is what I've learned. Creatively, do not listen to anybody, not your favorite artists, interviews, not not your friends, not your peers, not the people who you're trying to impress. Do not try to impress anybody, and do not try to mimic anybody. I know in the beginning, before we have our voice, before we are confident in what we're making, us as artists, we are automatically inspired, and there's nothing wrong with being inspired and doing stuff that's like other people every now and then. But if you ask me, you should be as weird as possible. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're happy with it, as long as you're okay with it, that's the only opinion that should matter. I used to turn music into a job. I used to turn making music into a people pleasing exposition. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to reach this crowd. I was trying to reach these type of people. I was doing stuff for TikTok. I'm trying to be trendy, you know what I'm saying? And it's like at the end of the day, the music that means the most to me that I make is stuff that is personal. It's stuff that hits home for me. When I'm in the studio, whether I'm with people or not, when I'm happy, when I'm in that mode, when I feel like making music, I make it. And that's another thing. Do not make music when you don't want to make music. So being an artist doesn't mean you got to make a song every day. I used to think that. Oh, if I'm not making a song every day, if I'm not dedicated, if I'm not turning on my mic every day, then what am I doing? But it's like I'm living, you know. And we all may go through different phases and stages in life, and that's okay. And it's about having grace. Like, be a friend to yourself, especially in the studio. And if you're working on something and you find yourself, you keep hitting the wall, you keep hitting the ceiling on a certain song. Oh, I want it to sound like this. It's not sounding like this. Being frustrated and doing it 100 times is not going to get you closer to your goal. I realized that the less audio takes, I realized that the less audio takes that I put in a song, the better it sounds, and the more it sounds like how I wanted to sound in my head. If you're doing 100 takes on one line, by the time you get to the 100th take on that same line, it's gonna sound totally different than how it sounded in your head. I feel like a lot of the times, us as artists, we gotta do ourselves a service and strike when the iron's hot, and also put yourself in a position where the iron can be hot consistently. And this comes with knowing yourself, what I'm saying, nourishing yourself, meditating, what I'm saying, doing whatever it is that you do that can bring you peace, that can bring you serenity, that can bring you calm, even if it's a breathing exercise, um, anything that can focus you and that can center you and be like, okay, cool, I got this. I have this under control. Because we make the best music, you put out your best effort when you feel like, okay, I got this, I have it. I know what I want to say. I know how I want to say it. Can't nobody else tell me or A&R me on this because, hey, this is how I'm going to do it. And that's really the best thing I can tell you, when it comes to making music on the creative side, for the most part. But on the business side, it's gonna cost you a couple hundred. I've recently built a studio for music. I recently got some speakers, got a new laptop, got a MIDI keyboard with the drum pads things on it, the later drums. Um, and my whole setup, it cost me around $1,000. And this is just, a starter setup. This ain't the Dr. Dre studio, but it is a quality studio. And if and when you're buying equipment, whether even if you're just a rapper and you're not a producer yet or at all, you know, look up the equipment that you want and look up a million YouTube reviews, Amazon reviews, Google reviews on that, and see the pros and the cons and look up stuff in your price range. Like, for example, if you go on Google and be like, hey, what I'm working with this budget, I only got $350. What microphone can I get that is quality for, in that price range, and if you look that up and if you study that, way before you even buy it, because the worst thing will probably be, especially if when you're starting off, is just randomly getting anything and just trying to put it together. Well, maybe not the worst thing, but you could save yourself a lot of money, time and resources and attention if you just do your research before you buy, you know. But the legal work is gonna cost you a couple hundred as well, you know. And that that is for other videos. I'm not super well versed. I ain't gonna lie, all my stuff it's not exactly legally where it should be. I'm just putting out stuff. I put out 4 albums. You know what I'm saying? The last one of which I produced, and I know what I need to do. I know where I need to do it, but I just gotta save my bread and do that. So that is a thing. But I just want to take this moment to remind you and not just harp on the business side of it. I look at music as a blessing. I told my homie a couple years ago, it's a blessing just to be able to do this, to have this creative outlet. And I don't want stress to be involved in any of my passions, so I'm at a space in my life where I'm not gonna allow that. I'm when I don't want to record, I'm not gonna record. I haven't been recording anything, beats or raps lately. And I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with that. And I just want to remind you as a creative, us as creatives, let's take this pressure and stress off of us. We don't got people that we have to impress. We don't have people that we have to, meet a deadline for, unless you live your life like that. But I don't live my life like that, man. I'm making music that inspires me, that makes me happy, that makes me at peace. And that within itself is the win for me. A lot of people, they get on these platforms and they think just because they got good music, they're going to get different results, but the results may vary. That's the whole thing. You could pop off with your first song, or you could pop off with your 1,000th song or your 2,000th song, But for me, when it comes to being creative, that is the blessing. Like, I've already won when I get to lay out a story, whether I've lived the experiences that I'm rapping or talking about or not. You know what I'm saying? It's about the idea of putting paint to the canvas. And if you get so caught up on the end goal of 5 years or 10 years or 20 years from now, if you're not living in the moment, you're going to miss all the good times, and you're not even going to take time like this, like I'm doing right now, to reflect on it and to really think it through. You feel me? You're just going to be, all right, next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing. And it's like, bro, there are people that are millionaires, have millions in the bank account that are still, you know, in survival mode. And I don't want to create from survival mode, bro. Like, Chance the Rapper just dropped his album. And it's been like, I think the last time he dropped was before the pandemic, right before I started rapping. I started rapping in 2020, you know. But yeah, I just say that to say about Chance. I recently listened to like half his album. It's immaculate. It's amazing, and I can understand and I can see why he took so long. But I was watching a couple interviews of his, and it's kind of funny that people like him, or even bigger in stature or smaller in stature, that are amazing, he still had uncertainty when he was dropping it or when he was showing it to his fans or other people, or having little pop-up shows and stuff like that, and really getting interactive. He was talking about how at a lot of his shows or get-togethers, he would pass out composition notebooks and just encourage people to give him feedback. They can keep the composition notebook, but they can tear out a page of a letter or a drawing or anything and give it to him. You know what I'm saying? So that was a whole different experience. But I just said that to say, like, Chance is amazing. I am amazing. Like, we all of us are amazing. Like, we shouldn't doubt ourselves. And that's another point I should cover too, like self-confidence. Um my last album was the first time I've made music without that pressure on me, without putting that pressure on myself, or allowing that pressure to be put onto me by the world or by society or by expectations. I made this album fully free, fully, it's totally different. I can't even if I tried to, like, to explain it to a T, I couldn't explain it. You have to listen to my album Surrender, if you really would want to know. But the thing about it is, just trust your gut, you know. It took me a while to find my voice as an artist and to be confident in myself. Not trying to sound like J. Cole, not trying to sound like anybody else that I grew up listening to and that I idolized and pedestalized. But now, like I said, this process with my last album, I'm not looking for any outside really approval because I already think it's dope. You know, even if I do ask, even if I do, maybe send some of my content to other people, I'm not living and dying on their, opinion. Like if they say, "Oh, this is trash," that's not gonna ruin my day or my weekend or my month or my year. And a lot of people can, but it's like if you really want to do this, you're gonna have to. If you want to be free, you're gonna have to break out of that people pleasing mind state. You know, I wouldn't even if you just getting started, I wouldn't even ask anybody's opinion on anything. Like not even me. And I'm making this video, but don't ask nobody opinion. Don't care about nobody else's opinion. Be so self confident within yourself. Build up your true self confidence, which is separate from ego. Ego thrives and lives off comparison. I'm better than them. I'm worse than them. That's the only two modes ego has. I'm the greatest ever. I'm the worst in the world. I don't deserve anything. Those are the only two modes ego has. You know that you're dealing with ego when you're in those mind states, when you're looking down on other people or you're looking up at people, you know. But confidence is knowing who you are truly, soul searching and understanding who you are and how dope you are. Like everybody is dope. Everybody is an artist, whether you make music or not. Like the way you live your life, the path you drive when you driving home, like that is art. It truly is. Like every decision you make, it is art. And just don't judge yourself. Throw paint on the canvas. Like I like to get lost. I like to make concept albums. I like to get lost in my albums. And I feel like I can go listen back to my 4 albums that I've dropped and they're all different vibes. I'm not trying to make what I've made before because I that time is over with. I can't even if I wanted to, and which I don't. I can't. That time has passed and I'm lucky to be in the position that I am. That I don't got a million fans. That they're in my comments trying to sway me, and maybe I will feel that pressure, but I don't feel that pressure. So it's really dope to be in this space to be an independent artist. You know what I'm saying? To control everything of how I wanted to come out. Like I edit all these videos. I edit all my music videos. I've A&R'd and produced, my last album, and I'm A&R'ing and producing right now and engineering and doing all this other stuff right now. And it's dope to have my hand on the pulse of what I'm putting out. And it really ain't nothing better than that, just that feeling. And that's really the point I want to bring home. And I'm gonna put a bow on this. Have fun, bro. Like truly, truly, truly have fun. It don't matter what nobody think, what nobody say, bro. At the end of the day gotta end. And it will behoove you and everybody else, whether you a new artist or old artist or way more experienced than me, to just make what you believe is dope.